and welcome to the second meeting of Old Dominion University Student Government Association. Today we'll have the adoption of the agenda, followed by the adoption of the previous minutes. Then we'll have quorum, and followed by our special guest, Sandy Waters. Then we'll have our old business, Senate Bill number 1, Senate Bill number 2, Senate Bill number 3, Resolution 2. And then for new business, we'll have Resolution 1, followed by our President and Vice President's reports, followed by our advisor's report, followed by our Senate committee reports, followed by public comments and announcements, followed by adjournment. Is there a motion at this time? Yes, Senator Reports.
Mr. Speaker, I move to strike number 4, special guest, from the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor to remove special guests from the agenda. Is there a second? Madam Chief of Staff, could you please make that present? Is there a motion at this time? Yes, Senator Patricia.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the agenda. Under point 5, Senate Bill number 2 should be the cabinet approval, and Senate Bill number 3 is the elections bill.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to change Senate Bill number 2 to the cabinet confirmation and to change Senate Bill number 3 to the elections bill. Is there a second? Madam Chief of Staff, could you please make that present? Are there any other motions at this time? Yes, Senator Ballard.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add the Treasurer's report after Advisor's report.
There's a motion on the floor to add the Treasurer's report after the Advisor's report. Is there a second? Madam Chief of Staff, could you please make that present? Are there any other motions at this time? Yes, Senator Rickman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we approve the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Since there's a second, the agenda is now approved. Moving on to our next order of business, we had the adoption of the previous minutes. Madam Chief of Staff, could you please make that present? Are there any questions about the previous minutes? Since there's no questions about the previous minutes are now approved. Next, today we met quorum at 22. Now we'll move on to our old business with Senate Bill number 1. Madam Chief of Staff, could you please bring that up? Alrighty, so continuing on from last week, are there any questions? Yes, Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, I move to open the floor to debate 5 minutes so that we may speak on behalf of Senate Bill 1.
Alright, there's a motion on the floor to enter a 5-minute debate. Is there a second? Since there's a second, wait, is there any opposition? Since there's no opposition, the floor will now be open for a 5-minute debate. Madam Pro Tempore, can you please keep time?
Yes.
Senator Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, fellow senators, executive board members, and esteemed guests of the chamber. I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Rules Bill and the issues that reside within it. Prior to our inaugural meeting of the 86th session, both members of the Executive Board and the Senate convened in this chamber in order to discuss upcoming goals and initiatives for the year, including those that will take place during our weekly meetings. Of these points advocated by the Executive Board, the need for a more dynamic debate and discussion was emphasized above all else. Mr. Speaker, for this to be accomplished, it is imperative to strike Part 1 under Part 5, Subpoint E for the Rules Bill, which reads, there will be no debate under first reading, the first time the legislation is presented. Mr. Speaker, I cannot emphasize enough how ill-conceived this point is in the current Rules Bill. In the past, the ODU-SGA has welcomed debate and discussion of bills and resolutions, regardless of reading status. It was not until the 84th session when Speaker Kyle Francis decided to do away with the dialogue on the first reading status. Speaker Francis believed the decision would best suit the needs of the Senate after numerous incidences of uninformed questioning and debate occurred during meetings. While the previous session speakers may have supported a point I do not agree with, they had good intentions. They sought to address the needs of the Senate and to best accommodate its members. Therefore, we must do the same now. By meeting those needs, not only will the Executive Board see a more dynamic chamber, but the bills in which we vote on will become more nuanced and comprehensive than ever before. Mr. Speaker, the senators of this Senate session are well-informed, well-equipped, and well-led. Each and every one of us are capable of analyzing legislation that arrives before us and translating it into a meaningful and articulate document that not only improves the legitimacy of SGA, but improves the overall quality of life for the students at ODU. What we lack is the ability to do so consistently. To ensure this, it is imperative that we are granted as much time possible to discuss bills. Debate is an essential component to the democratic process. Limiting this process not only denies us of our rights, it hinders our ability to produce the best legislation that we can. This is why I urge the Senate to vote to strike Part 1 under Part 5, Subpoint E of the Rules Bill. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, Senator Anderson.
Okay. I propose that we add to Senate decorum
that there should be no seating chart, because I believe that kind of forces some people into the back, and like kind of makes things hard when we're trying to discuss things, like maybe somebody wants to sit next to somebody, or I think that it wouldn't really have that much of a benefit. So I would move to add that point to Senate decorum.
Yes, Senator Rickman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to talk about, what Mr. Senator Senator Robinson talked about. I do see where he's coming from, and I like that a lot. As the previous speaker, I do see exactly where he's coming from. There are times where on first reading status, we did need to debate last year, and I think that is in case-by-case circumstances. Like last week, I think it would have been a perfect time to allow that. So maybe instead of just proposing to do away with it altogether, I want to propose to the Senate to possibly maybe do something where the Senate chair can approve whether we go into debate on first reading status. Let them have the discretionary. If he says no, we as a Senate can go by majority and the 2/3 vote and overpower him to have debate on first reading status. It's just so we do not have debate on every single bill. The reason why I say that is because when you have first and reading status bills, I want to make sure that we get through them all together. If we have debate on every single bill, I think we will be a lot less productive.
Yes, Senator Cunningham.
Mr. Speaker, just to acknowledge Senator Rickman's point, it wouldn't necessarily mean like that we will always go into debate on first reading status. So I get what he's saying about the case-by-case basis, but then what's the discretionary point of the case-by-case basis? Okay, so if somebody asks for $5,000 versus somebody asking for $100, is that the case, or is it like depending on what is being proposed, like a ski trip or a conference that just came out of nowhere? So I do agree with debating on first reading status, but as far as the case-by-case basis, that would be something that needs to be discussed as to what would be the case-by-case.
Madam Pro Tempore, how much time do we have left?
20 seconds.
All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to comment? All right, I'm going to go ahead to move to end the debate. Now, is there a motion on the floor at this time? And yes, Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, I move to strike Part 1 under Subpoint 5, Subpoint E of the Rules Bill. And again, that reads there will be no debate during first reading the first time for legislation is presented.
All right, so you said point 1.
It is, just to reiterate, it is Part 1 under Part 5, and it's Subpoint E of the Rules Bill, and it reads there will be no debate during first reading the first time the legislation is presented.
So there's a motion on the floor to strike the point that says there will be no debate under first reading status. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there's opposition, I'm going to take a rising hand vote. Please, all in favor, please raise your hands high. All against? All right, since there's a majority of vote in favor, that will now, Madam Chief of Staff, would you please make that present? You want to stand up, Senator Robinson?
Yes, sure thing. Ms. Chief of Staff, that is Part 1 under Part 5, so it's Part 5 under legislation, Subpoint E of the Rules Bill, which reads there will be no debate during first reading the first time the legislation is presented.
Yeah, Ayers, it's the first point under first and second reading status. Could you please strike that? Are there any other motions at this time? Yes, Senator Anderson.
I move to add a point 7 to Senate decorum, stating that there should be no assigned seats in the Senate gallery.
Yeah, Senator Anderson motions to add to make a point to add there shall be no assigned seats in Senate decorum. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is no opposition, Madam Chief of Staff, could you please? Oh, okay. So there is opposition. We'll now take a rising hand vote. Is there? So all in favor? Could you please raise your hands? All against? So there is a majority in favor of adding that point. Madam Chief of Staff, would you please add that? Are there, Senator Rickman?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to friendly amend on the last page in the enactment to change the dates from 2015, 2016 to 2016, 2017, and also change the 85th session to the 86th session.
So there's a motion on the floor to change the date from the year from 2015, 2016 to 2016, 2017, and change 85th session to 86th session. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Madam Chief of Staff, could you please make that present? Are there any other motions at this time? Yes, Senator Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On page 2, on the section labeled Senate, on point 2, I move to friendly amend that section to read, only senators may propose legislation.
So, Aaron, scroll down to, I think it's section 2, so keep scrolling down. Sorry, the section is titled "The Senate." And I do believe that's somewhere else. Aaron, scroll up to the first page. Scroll down just a little bit. It's right there at point A, Senator Ramos. Point A. So the motion will not be entertained. Is there another motion at this time? Yes, Senator Ramos.
I move to strike point 3 from probationary senator.
So there is a motion on the floor to strike point 3, which is gather 75 signatures from non-SGA affiliated students. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to enter a 5-minute debate. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is no opposition, we will now enter a 5-minute debate. Madam Speaker Pro Tempore, would you please keep time?
Yes. I'll just start by saying, I know the 75 signatures for a non-SGA affiliated student sounds like it's extreme or intense, whatever it may be, but it makes sense. When we come to this table to represent the student body, we need to prove who you're representing, because people will come here and not speak and not represent who they're supposed to represent. We have 25,000 people out there, and I just agree with it. We just need to show proof of who you're representing. It's only 75. If you don't like it, go to 50.
Senator Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with what it's trying to accomplish. I just think it's a haphazard approach of trying to accomplish that. I think we need to have a discussion about this semester about how to make the process more concrete and definitely more connected to students. I'm just not sure if this is going to end up actually helping anything, to be quite frank. So.
Senator Cunningham, would you?
I also I would agree with. I get what the point is trying to do, but until it's a process where, okay, we can't take UINs, but how are we gonna prove that these are students? Is it a process behind adding this, or I just want to know. I don't know if that's a question I can ask, or how does that go?
I can answer that for you. I'm gonna verify each student and make sure they are a student. Yes, Senator Rickman, did you have something? Senator Fidel.
I believe that we should kind of lower the number, just because if this is the first time we're going to start doing this, I believe that we should have a lower number and test it out and see how it goes. Because I believe that 75 signatures will intimidate a lot of people from kind of just trying to go out there and join SGA. And so I just believe we should debate and try to figure out a more reasonable number.
Senator Vivian.
I just had a question for you regarding how you would get a hold of if those students were real or not. You said that we have a directory in which anyone could go ahead and look up students and get a hold of their emails, or?
How many people actually know that?
I mean, but now I'm just saying, if you and I know it, imagine how many people also know that.
Senator Anderson.
Okay. I feel that if we do this would extend the process of people becoming senators, and it would take a longer time, much longer time for people to actually become senators if we have to verify that before they can even become a senator. And in addition to that, I think that would make things harder. And even though that would probably make the people that come in here more dedicated, we might not have enough people to even hold function, because last year I believe we only had one or 2 people for some executive board positions. So if we have less senators, then we might not have enough people to hold function.
Yes, Senator Bernard.
I would kind of disagree with Senator Anderson. I just think.
Address me, please.
I'm in a debate. I'm just.
What you're
Yeah.
supposed to say.
Speaker, I kind of disagree.
You can say that towards me, but don't address it.
Okay, so it's just if we lower the number, which I'm okay with, so we lower the number 25 signatures. I think we're thinking too much into the behind the scenes. We're just pretty much saying this. Prospective senators should have X amount of signatures of non-SGA affiliated students. It can even be SGA affiliated students because we know our voices and we, have our own accreditations for each other in the room. But just to let students know that when you're coming in here, we're gonna have quality over quantity. So I kind of would disagree with Senator Anderson.
Senator Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In addition to Senator Bernard's comments, I think that we put so much emphasis on the fact that we represent the student body and that we'd like to say that we represent 500 people. I don't think getting signatures would hinder another senator, especially if you really want to be part of the student government. That shows that you have drive, and that shows that you want to be a part of this.
Selena, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No,
All right, Senator Bernard.
1 minute remaining.
It already takes about 3 to 4 weeks to even become a senator. If you can't get X amount of signatures within 3 to 4 weeks, they're really not that difficult.
Senator
I would do it for anybody who needs proof.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with Senator Bernard's points. I believe that we do need to have these signatures. I think it is a great part. I saw as Speaker that we do not, in my personal opinion, personally represent the students. I think this will get our students out to talk to people. If someone were to come up to me and ask for my signature, I'd be like, for why? And then maybe we can pick up a member there, maybe we can pick up a number here. I do think we should lower it, 25 to 50. I think that would be very reasonable. 75 I think might be a little bit too much, but we can definitely make this possible, and I think it will make SGA better in a whole. And also, if we're going to do this, we need to make sure we are thinking about our upper level executives as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Debate is now over. Is there a motion at this time? Yes, Senator Ramos.
Mr. Speaker, I move to friendly amend point 3 under prospective senators to regather 50 signatures from non-SGA affiliated students.
There's a motion on the floor to change the number 75 to 50. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is opposition, I will now take a rising hand vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. All against? There was a majority in favor, so Madam Chief of Staff, could you please change that number to 50? Is there a motion at this time? Yes, Senator Ballard.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add at the end to where it applies to current senators also.
So there is a motion on the floor to change to add the wording to the end of that statement to Senator Ballard, but there are people in Senate now already in Senate. It wouldn't affect me.
But it remains senator.
Yes, Senator Reagan.
I motion to extend the debate, please.
Yeah, just the motion to enter.
Okay.
Senator Reagan.
I motion to enter another debate.
For how long?
Okay, so
How long?
okay, guys. So
You need to enter for how long?
5 minutes.
So there's a motion on the floor to enter a 5-minute debate. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? So we will now enter another 5-minute debate. Madam Pro Tem, please keep going. Senator Raven, since you made the motion.
Okay, so going back to the time, the amount of signatures we want to say, I would definitely say we should start with 25 just because it's easier and we don't want to overstress the people. If I told you in order to become a member of SGA you should go get 50 signatures, you're already feeling intimidated to become a member and stuff. Now we're telling you to go get 50 to 75 signatures. How will you feel? And also, if we're also going to do that to the senators, I feel like we should also do it to the exec board members since you're not getting elected and you're being you go through an interview process. So it's the same with picking the senators. So the exec board members should also go through the same process.
Just to address that, we do have 4,500 beds on campus. It's not that hard to go get 50 signatures from students. And the point for exec board members, they have already been selected. They have not been approved yet. But this bill only refers to senators as of right now. Senator Henry.
referring to the last point brought up, as far as 75 signatures, that is about 2 classes. That's standing up in front of 2 classes and saying, I want to be a senator for student government. This is what they do. If everybody in this classroom would please sign this petition saying that it is okay for me to be a senator, it wouldn't be that difficult. And there's also other ways standing in the web easily that many signatures.
Senator Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In regards to that last point, okay, I get it. But at the same time, like, if we're gonna have that many signatures, I just want genuine conversation. So going in front of a class, hey guys, sign my paper, that's not real conversation. Like, you're just asking them to, like, basically slide you right down through. And another point also, I just want it to apply to current senators also, including myself, because if we're putting these standards on, I just think that, like, it should apply to us too, so.
Senator Biggs.
I completely agree with you, Brandon, but I mean, the thing is that we might not, sure, I might be going around to get my signatures and saying, hey, can I do this? And someone might be like, I'll sign your paper, whatever, and go away. But on the rare chance that there is that one person that says, what is this? Then that's a person that you just brought into SGA and made them know about SGA.
You address me, please.
And so, Mr. Speaker, you're going to bring in more SGA members than I think that would know more about SGA in a whole. I think if they would like to, add to current senators to do that thing as just, a probationary thing, just to do it for fun. So, we're doing exactly the same thing as the new senators have to do. I am completely and 100% fine with that.
Senator Anderson.
I just believe that adding any signatures would make it more complicated, but I feel if we do this, it should apply to everybody, senators, e-board, all of us should be held to the same standard. And we would, oh yeah, but we should, I guess we can talk about that. But we should, I do not agree with this, and I feel that there's no way to verify it because we can't take UIN, and I feel that doing this would just be a tedious task that might not really do that much, even though it might let people know about it. It won't really make them better. So I feel that wouldn't really be something that we should want to do.
Senator Patricia.
Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to address the point that it should apply to us as well. This section of the bill is for, I believe we changed it to prospective senators and not current senators, so it wouldn't apply to us. It applies to people who are applying to become senators now.
Senator Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a comment was made earlier by Senator Anderson saying that he had doubts in terms of how we were able to verify this process. I disagree with that. As it stands right now, there are ways to verify that. Collecting a student's UIN can be checked by LSI and Cs. Secondly, if you were to collect just by UINs, we have card scanners that do that on student IDs. Third, if that's inconvenient for the student, then perhaps we can amend this to have it so that they verify their email address. And their email address is public information. You can search that on the school's directory. So to say that it's difficult or not a possible task to be able to check whether or not the student has signed off on your list for becoming a prospective senator is inaccurate. Thank you.
Sure.
We're not allowed to collect UINs. Any regular student can't just go around collecting UINs, so we could not verify that way.
So the debate is now over. Is there a motion to extend the debate? Senator Anderson.
Mr. Speaker, I move to extend the debate by 3 minutes.
There's a motion on the floor to extend the debate by 3 minutes. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Is there opposition? Oh no, since there's no opposition, Senator Bernard. Are you opposed? So there is opposition. So we will now take a rising hand vote. All in favor? All against? Since there is a majority in favor, we will now extend the debate by 3 minutes. Senator Raymond, since you didn't make the motion.
Just to address the comments again, if you are not willing to get any signatures to verify that you want to represent the student body, that shows that you have no initiative nor drive to represent your fellow students.
Senator Cunningham.
Well, seeing that we do have a few things that we might still want to discuss about this, can we move the table until next week,
We're
or
still in debate.
I'm not. That's
Sorry, go ahead.
what I'm really saying is, like, at the end of the debate, I mean, if we still have stuff to discuss, like, we've been discussing the bill for about 15 minutes now. So I'm trying to figure out, is that the better thing to do so we can all have a discussion and all say that we're going to meet and actually come and talk about it? Or, like, what I'm just asking somebody.
Just to also address, if you do table this bill, we would still be under the rules of the 85th session until this bill is ratified. Yes, Senator Anderson.
Since there is some controversy around this, I move that we.
You're still in debate.
You're still in debate?
Yeah, I would suggest that we remove this from this bill, and if we really feel strongly about this, we could represent this later, so we can have this bill pass for the other points that we agree with.
Senator Fidel.
I kind of agree with what Senator Anderson said. I don't think we should just move it. I think we should just keep it for the prospective senators, see how it works out, because we still did not test it out at all. So let's see how it works out with the prospective senators, how long it will take, how everything plays out. Then we can talk about, imposing it for, let's say, the exec members or other senators as well. Thank you.
Does anyone have their hand up over here? All right, Senator Cunningham.
Once we enact this bill, isn't this enacted for the whole session?
It's once this bill is ratified, it'll stay in effect until the 87th session approves their rules.
So we wouldn't be able to take it out if it doesn't work, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, does that mean that amendments in the bill can be changed later? So in other words, if this bill is ratified, if we have an issue with or a stipulation with something that's a part of the rules bill, can we?
Yes, you could just present it as like a rules bill amendment.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Senator Ballard.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, last time speaking for this bill, I swear. So, in regards to just new senators, how about we just change it to this language for this current 86th session? The current senators sitting are to also have said signatures by October 5th or some random date. That's my last comment.
All right, Senator Hinton, this is the last person speaking.
At this point, Mr. Speaker, I don't think that it's necessary for sitting senators to have signatures, considering that we are all hopefully active members in the not election process, but Senate.
So the debate's now over. Is there a motion at this time? Yes, Senator Anderson.
I move to remove potential senators bill line 3 from.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to remove gathering 50 signatures from the bill. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? All right, since there is opposition, I would have to take a rising hand vote. All in favor? All against? All right, since there is more in favor or against, that motion will now be will die. Is there another motion at this time? Is there another motion, Senator Bernard?
I would like point 3 under prospective senators to read, gather 25 signatures from Old Dominion University students.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to change bullet point 3 to say gather 25 signatures from Old Dominion University students. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is opposition, I will now take a rising hand vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. All against? All right, so, Madam Chief of Staff, could you please change the statement to say gather 25 signatures from Old Dominion University students? Is there another motion at this time? So, Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, I move to pass this bill as written with the understanding that if any amendments need to be added to the rules bill later, we may do so during the 86th Senate session.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to vote. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there's opposition, I will now take a rising hand vote. All in favor to vote, please raise your hand. All against? So with the majority being towards in favor, so I will now open the floor to voting. So with 12 yeas, 8 nays, and 1 abstain, this bill passes. Moving on to our next order of business, we have Senate Bill number 2, Cabinet Confirmation.
Good afternoon. Let's get some pep in our steps today. That was really intense. But now I would like to confirm our executive cabinet. I would like to take this time this week to introduce you all to the people that I would like to be your executive board. So let's start with Director of Finance, Robin. Can you just stand up and introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, Director of Finance, Mr. Rompio. I'm a sophomore, majoring in computer science.
Student Life, Jessica King. Director of Administrative Affairs, Justin Blockhorn.
Hello.
Okay, Director of Safety and Transportation, Michelle Mondre.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Mondre. I'm a senior exercise science major, coaching.
Thank you, Michelle. Director of Legislative Affairs and Diversity, Nia Griffin.
Hi everybody, my name is Nia Griffin. I am a second year here majoring in marketing and finance with a minor in administrative leadership.
Health, Wellness and Sustainability, which hasn't changed. Brittany Allen.
Hey guys, my name is Brittany Allen. I'm a senior education.
Director of Off-Campus Life, Courtney Cunningham.
That's me. Hey guys, I'm Courtney. I'm a junior majoring in interdisciplinary studies with a concentration of pre-K through 6 and a minor in Spanish.
And finally, Director of Public Relations and Recruitment, Yvonne Portela.
Hi everybody, thank you for being here. Juan Portela, and I am a junior majoring in counseling and
And, sorry, last but certainly not least, Chief of Staff, Eris Harrison in the back.
Hi, I'm Eris Harrison, Chief of Staff. I'm a senior.
Thank you, Eris. Okay, do I have any questions about the Executive Cabinet?
I do just want to point out that Taji is not on this list.
Taj is appointed, but does not have to be voted on by the Senate. He's just.
Is there a motion at this time, or if there's any questions, Senator Anderson? Please stand.
Point of information, the health that was mistakenly put in both wellness and sustainability is still on that copy.
It's still on the floor, that's why it's like that.
Okay.
Is there a motion or questions? Senator Bernard. There's a motion on the floor to vote. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? I will now open the floor to voting. All right, so with 20 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 abstain, this bill passes. Moving on to our next order of business, we have the Elections Bill, Senate Bill number 3, the Election Bill.
Hello everybody, as you can see, the election bill once again, there wasn't any amendments or anything like that, so is there any questions?
Yes, Senator Robinson.
Hi, Speaker Pro Temp. I just had more of a
general question. So, more of a, a hypothetical to pose. In the event that we have an interim vice president that has to replace the duties of the vice president for circumstances that pertain to being able to leave his seat for other reasons, would an election for his position or his or her position become viable for us or within our best interest? And the second half of that is something that we're kind of enduring now. Would an election be the right path to follow instead of allowing for a resolution that would grant the president an ability to nominate the interim vice president as the permanent vice president only under those circumstances, I should reiterate.
Okay, I think that's a hypothetical question for your fellow senators and even executive board members. This is just election. This is what's happening. I think if you wanted to make any amendments to that process, you would have to amend the Constitution. There's nothing I can put in this bill to make it not an election because it's an elections bill, if that makes any sense.
No, and if I could rephrase too, and I apologize if I didn't want to make it seem like I was suggesting any amendments to be added to this bill. What I was actually trying to communicate was that is the need for this election necessary? And the reason I asked that is because we might be in a position where we could table this and enact a referendum that would, again, amend our bylaws and our Constitution that would grant the president this ability. So this is not only a question for you, but the Senate chamber as a whole.
Okay, well, to address that, this election is necessary because that's what's currently in the Constitution. However, if you were to table this bill and then amend the Constitution, the student body would still have to vote on that Constitution. And while they're voting on that, no would still serve as our interim. And just to say, hypothetically, the student body says no, we like the way it is and votes against the Constitution, we're back to me standing up here proposing an elections bill. I think a good recommendation, if I can recommend anything, I would pass this elections bill and then amend the Constitution, and then if this were to happen in the future, then that would be the new process. But I really just don't want to wait another 2 months of risking having to go through this all over again.
Senator Reynolds.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker. If the Constitution was to be amended to allow the president to appoint a vice president that would be then approved by the Senate, it would not apply until the following semester. So therefore, we would need to pass this bill still.
Yes, Senator Bernard.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker. Didn't we just have that up there on a previous bill and took it off that the president cannot not appoint a vice president? So I don't understand the point of this conversation, Mr. Speaker.
So he just wanted to say that in the Constitution bill last week that we struck the point of a president appointing the vice president and then being elected by the Senate. Yes, Senator Robinson.
Just a point of inquiry. Did we also strike the points that would allow the president to nominate the treasurer, the secretary, and the speaker as well?
I do believe that appointing the secretary and the treasurer were in there, but the speaker is still elected by the student body. Senator Bernard. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to take a vote. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Is that opposition, girl? Since there is opposition, I will now take a rising hand vote. All in favor? All against? Since there's a majority in favor, I will now open the floor to voting. With 21 yeas and 1 nay, this bill passes. Moving on to our next order of business. We will have the resolution number 2, the Constitution Amendment.
Good afternoon, Senate, and guests, and people. So again, I have the unique pleasure of presenting to you resolution number 2, which amends the Constitution. The following amendments have been proposed, and that is so that we may update the Constitution. I will let everyone know that the points that were striked from that were striked last week can be put back on in the event that we overturn Robert's Rules of Order.
Madam Chief Staff, could you please scroll down so that we can see the changes? All right, yes, sir.
I just have one inquiry. Why aren't the bills that are edited printed and put in here?
That's my fault because I would have to reprint every bill, and that's the only reason that that's there. But the bills that I did send out in the email were the updated bills. Yes, Senator Robinson.
Senator Ramos, when you mean vote to overturn Robert's Rules of Order, do you mean to move to suspend the rules?
Yes, I meant to suspend the rules.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Senator Patricia.
Mr. Speaker, I move to enter into a 5-minute debate.
There's a motion on the floor to enter a 5-minute debate. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is opposition, I will now take a rising hand vote. All in favor, please raise your hands high. All against? Okay, all in favor again, could you please raise your hands high again? All against? Well, we will now enter a 5-minute debate. Madam Pro Tem Board, would you please keep time? Senator Patricia, since you did make the motion, the floor is now.
Okay, firstly, I would like to, Mr. Speaker, address that there had been some conversation about instead of just having an appointment, that there would be an order of succession in which if the Vice President were to resign, the Speaker would take over his role, Speaker Pro Tem would take over Speaker role, so on and so forth.
Senator Rickman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree. I politely disagree with Senator Patricia's proposed amendment because by doing that, you're going to take away people that have learned and have succeeded from people the following year. So, for example, I taught Jordan everything I know, and so he would move out of that role, try to learn an entire new, different role. By doing that, it will cause a lot of pandemonium and it will be very hard to do. But I do see where you're coming from. It could be quite a, it could be something we should look at. But I don't know if that's the correct thing to do at this time.
Senator Robinson.
So Senator Patricia had put up an interesting point about line of succession, or succession rather. I think that's interesting. However, I do have issues with it, and Senator Rickman touched on this. He said along the lines of the fact that, yeah, we are going to have to essentially retool and reteach people how to learn, what it takes to fill those executive roles. Are we trying to model the United States government? Yes, and I think that is valid, and I think that's a suggestion that she was presenting. The difference is that the individuals in Capitol Hill or in, the state capital of Richmond, those are career politicians. They are elected officials, and then they're masters of their craft. So being able to transition, for example, if Vice President Biden was no longer able to fulfill his duties as Vice President and saying Speaker Ryan would assume his seat. Speaker Ryan is a congressman of the United States first, and he's the Speaker second, technically. So he's already capable of being led into a vice president role. Students, however, at a university may not be as equipped to do the same. Now, you and I may have different skill sets. I could be, for example, well fit to be the speaker. You could be better to be the vice president. Now, if we run into a situation where that's not the case, where one of us has to now step up and I have to assume your role, you assume the other, and we might have a situation where we're not doing our duties effectively. Yeah, it's different. So I think the environment's different for something. The environment's different for us as students at this university. And the environment's different for individuals that are grown human beings, that are politicians, elected officials, representatives of the United States. Just to present that point to the chamber. Thank you.
Senator Hinton.
Mr. Speaker, I move to address Senator Robinson's point of that we may not be all not capable, but equipped or trained to deal with
the position changes, but whoever is going to become the new vice president after the election will have to go through the same training that, say, someone such as the speaker has gone through, or has gone through a very similar one. So the line of succession, I feel as though, would be better than opening up the position to the public, because then it still would have to have that training either way.
Senator Anderson.
I think maybe we can give people the option to abide by that line of succession, or if they feel that they're not qualified, then they can just stay in their current position. And I also have like kind of a question: what would we do if nobody in executive board position, somebody stepped down from an executive board position and nobody applied? Would we just like dissolve the committee, or like I don't know?
For your question, resolving if someone in the exec board steps down, there's always a way to replace it. Yes, Senator Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hate to move away from that point because I do think it is very important, but I want to get this out as well. I do not think that, if you look at point 5, I would like, Mr. Speaker, letting the president to elect a secretary, treasurer. I'm okay with chief of staff and directors. I think that's important. They do elect those. But I think secretary and treasurer, they are paid position by the university. I think they should be done by the students of the student body. And the only reason why I say that is because I do not want, one group or one person of, from one organization to control this body. Let's just say, if we have one fraternity president, they could literally elect their entire fraternity to run this organization. And so I'm just saying, I'm not saying about this looking now, I'm just saying into the future, we want to make sure that we're going to do the right thing for this organization. And by having one person elect everyone, all of our exec board, I think it's the wrong thing to do. So I think that we should propose something to strike that.
So the debate is now over. We will have to now motion to enter. Yes, Senator Bernard.
Can I extend the debate for 7 minutes, please? Yes.
So there's a motion on the floor to extend the debate by 7 minutes. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is opposition, I will have to take a rising hand vote. All in favor, please raise your hand high.
For the next 7 minutes.
All against? Madam Pro Tem, could you please keep time? Yes, Senator Bernard.
To go back to the line of session. To go back to the line that everybody is talking about, I think that would be inefficient. We will be enabled for a long time, because while our speakers learn how to be vice president, our speaker pro tempore is learning to be our speaker. So it's just too many people learning at the same time rather than one person learning in her position with great support from the president. To go back to Senator Rickman's point, what was the 5?
Ayers, could you please scroll up?
This one, granted, the secretary and treasurer are both paid positions by the university. So is the SAC, so is homecoming, so is other positions on campus, and they are not voted by the student body, which means it's not relevant for them to be voted on by our student body. They are internal workers. They do not work for the student body. That is not the secretary of the student body. That is not the treasurer of the student body. Thank you.
Senator Reynolds.
Although I do not have the power to, Mr. Speaker, to amend this bill, I also would like to tack on to Senator Bernard's comments that also your directors are selected by the president and they are paid along with the chief of staff. Okay, so that is another thing to keep in mind. So if you want to have the secretary and treasurer elected, you might as well make sure that the directors are elected, which doesn't make any sense. Also, in the event that we were to have a quote-unquote fraternity president that would appoint a fraternity student government cabinet, I would believe and I would trust that the Senate would have the decency and also the divine wisdom to approach these measures, okay? So that's the other thing.
Senator Rogers.
Mr. Speaker, two things real quick. Senator, this is to address Senator Bernard. I want to apologize. I didn't mean to vote in opposition to the debate for 7 minutes, just because 7 minutes seems like a long time, not because I disagreed that we should keep talking about that. So I just want to make that point. Second thing, going back to what I mentioned earlier, the line of secession comment I made, I also forgot to mention too, and this is important, when we are, the SGA, the organization, when we're in a process for shadowing and teaching the individuals that are elected to president, vice president, it's a long, detailed, ordinate process, and they're meeting with different school administrators. They're learning about the nuances of
how to interconnect with students. Basically, they have to be proficient at all of the rules and procedures that happen in here, and they have to know outreach issues and things that operate internally. The vice president's more specifically geared to internal issues. So when the president and vice president meet, they have policy goals that they have to achieve for the year. So if we're, throughout, say, in a session, the vice president can no longer fulfill their duties, and the speaker is now brought in to be the vice president, now you are presented with a situation of internal conflict where maybe you don't agree with the goals and initiatives you want to achieve. Maybe you have a different outlook and opinion in terms of what kind of policy platforms you should run. And not only that too, but you're now weeks behind the learning curve process, and you have to be taught all of these things that you were spent literally months being fit for the position for. There's a reason that we asked the president and vice president to spend their summers here at ODU, so that by the time the fall rolls around, that they are easily integrated into our organization and they're effective and knowledgeable in terms of carrying out their duties. Thanks.
Senator Wesley.
I just wanted to touch on Senator Hickson's point about succession and how technically if somebody else was going for VP, they have to be trained anyway. But I just feel like having the speaker go to VP and everything, I feel like, okay, so if you wanted to be speaker and that's what you wanted to do, I feel like making you be VP or asking you to be sort of beyond you if you don't want to do it. You sort of apply to be speaker, so that's what you should do.
Senator Patricia.
Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to address that my last name is Patricia. Secondly, I'd like to address some of the other comments that have been made regarding the idea of a line of succession. With the idea that maybe too much learning would be going on at the same time. If I remember correctly, one of the stipulations to run for vice president was that you had to serve on Senate for only one semester, and it does not say how long ago that semester may have happened. So in the event, for today, that we are changing rules bill and the Senate is constantly a dynamic entity, bringing someone in that is familiar with rules from a year or two ago will have much more to learn than someone who's already in a position of speaker pro tem. They would have a much easier time learning and taking on duties and capabilities of what the vice president would be doing.
Senator Hinton.
And also to address that point of there being too much learning going on, both the speaker template and the speaker are appointed, so that makes them a part of the executive board, privy to these types of meetings, not exclusively to the president and vice president, so they would have that. And in United States government, there is a line of succession. There is a line of succession. So when you apply for these positions in a mock government, then that is implied that we are trying to as closely follow United States government as possible.
I just want to address that point really quickly, that speaker is elected, the speaker pro tempore is elected by the Senate. Yes, Senator Reed.
I do agree, with the comments that have been made on the floor, but we have to really think about it is a lot more preparation than you actually think of what it does to be in the executive role. In SGA, there's a lot of different things that we do learn, and it's not just quickly as picking it up and letting it go, which I don't know why. But, I think that we need to really think about, make sure we're having the right people and make sure they're getting the proper training beforehand. I just think it is a very wild time right as the semester is starting, and I know if this would have happened this year, and we're doing all that, and with Nico resigning, if we had to do all that at the beginning of the first part, it would give little time for them to learn with long classes as well.
Senator Reed.
Going just to go over what you guys they're saying. I'm understanding that they're saying there's gonna be too much to learn and then stuff. So if we're gonna go with the recession, can we just do it in a way so it's succession? I said recession, sorry. For succession, can we do it in a way such that you have at least two people that might take over the position, shadow the person they might be like maybe the speaker will shadow for vice president, the speaker position, and the pro temp will shadow for like pro temp and speaker position. So we're not gonna have to worry about like learning and stuff.
So the debate is over, but to address her concern, when you apply for a position for your election, you shadow the position that you're running for.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, point of inquiry, and then Senator Ramos, you can also answer this question too. Since there isn't a committee associated with this bill, if we wanted to table this back to committee, how would the process for that work?
You could, you could table it back to Senator Ramos, and you could address any concerns that you guys have. Yes.
Point of information, but please keep in mind that the Constitution needs to go out with election. Like, seriously, or we're going to have to organize polling stations and encourage students to vote all over again. And getting them to vote for a vice president is already difficult enough. Now you're introducing constitutions that they have to read and then vote on. So if you want to table it, I can't stop you, but please keep that in mind that it has to go out soon.
Just a point of information, Mr. Speaker, for the Senate. I do agree with, I agree on some points of everyone's points, but however, not every person that you elect or that you select for a job or a position is fully capable and equipped to attack that position. I think we've seen that before. I think we've seen that some of our exec board members were not fully transitioned. Some of them weren't even given advice. So coming into a lot of times, whenever you take up a leadership role, whenever it's a club or student government, it takes a lot of hands-on approaches by yourself and you doing it. Although I haven't done it much here in student government with becoming a director or an executive member, I can say that from personal experience that not everyone is fully equipped to be the president or the vice president. You learn really quick that you're not fully equipped. So.
Yes, Senator Anderson.
Okay. Going off of what Vanessa said, I feel that people that maybe shadowed the person would be more qualified. Like what happened last year, we had multiple people shadow Lydia for her position. So I think maybe we could stipulate a certain preference to applicants that shadowed the director that they're going to replace, or for something like the president and vice president, maybe we can open up some sort of public information or shadowing process for them, so that we could make it.
Is there a motion at this time?
Debate.
Is there a motion at this time? Senator Bernard.
I move to a vote.
There's a motion on the floor to vote. Is there a second? Is there a motion? Is there a second to the motion on the floor to vote? There is a second. Is there any opposition? Since there is opposition, I will now have to take a rising hand vote. All in favor? All against? All right, so is there another motion at this time? Yes, Senator Anderson.
I move to extend debate by 2 minutes.
There's a motion on the floor to extend the debate by 2 minutes. Is there a second? Yes, since there is no second, is there another motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, if I could have permission to address the Speaker Pro Tem. Sure. Speaker Pro Tem, that's weird to say. How time sensitive is this resolution?
So 1 second, I can pull out the election timeline.
And the second half to that question is, in the event that we table this for a week, would that interfere with the calendar for the election timeline?
I'm going to answer that question. I don't think so, because we still have 30 days after the bill is submitted to submit the referendum to the student body.
Well, the specific date is October 2nd is when it will have to be introduced. However, we still have to get this out to the students to read before they vote on it.
So would you say a week? We have about a week?
Yeah.
So Senator Robinson.
Mr. Speaker, seeing as this is a time-sensitive bill and there is still incomplete, there are issues that we have to formulate and flesh out for ourselves, I move to table this bill for 1 week until the next meeting.
There's a motion on the floor to table the bill for a week. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Since there is opposition, I now have to take a rising hand vote. All in favor? All against? All right, so this bill will be tabled for a week. Moving on to our next order of business, we'll have our resolution number 1, our executive resolution. Oh yeah, by the way, anyone that has 420 classes may leave.
So so this is a bill, I'm sorry, this is a resolution. It was presented, this was written by a group of students to be presented to the Board of Visitors. Was successfully presented and they approved it. This was to name the dining hall. This is something that has to be amended, guys, don't worry, it's in the works. To name the new dining facility after President John R. Broderick and his wife Kate Broderick. Because of all of the work that President Broderick and the First Lady have done for ODU over the years, we felt that it was time to honor them with naming a building after them. This was a student-led initiative. We started meeting last semester. We met with the rector and they agreed that this was a great initiative. So this is to formally present that SGA is in agreement, and this would be made a little bit nicer than this little piece of paper, and put in the new dining hall that SGA agrees with naming this building after President Broderick.
Are there any questions? Senator Bernard.
Can you elaborate why it's a dining facility compared to why it was the student recreation one? So, like, what are we picking these buildings for exactly? What is it representing?
Okay, so we initially went with the Student Recreation Center because if anybody goes to the SRC, sometimes you'll see President Broderick in there, and that's a place that, one building on campus that is close to his heart and close to all of our hearts, and somewhere where we feel represents him. It was changed to the dining hall because it's a new building, and so it's a little bit easier to name a new building than rename the SRC. Because it's new, we can now start calling it whatever, the Broderick, whatever the young kids will change it to.
The young
It'll change over time, but the SRC is the SRC. So I think it was just, it made more sense to change a new building, to name a new building rather than change the name.
Are there any other questions? Or is there a motion on the floor this time? Yes, Senator Anderson.
I move to amend the title of the bill that says bill to enact the rules. I move to amend a resolution to name the SRC, change SRC to Broderick Commons, or I guess new dining facility.
So there's a motion on the floor to change the statement from a resolution to name the SRC to a resolution to name the new dining facility. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Madam Chief of Staff, could you please make that present? Are there any other motions at this time? Yes, Senator Bernard.
If it doesn't pass through Senate, it's still going to be called the Broderick Commons, correct?
Is there a motion this time? Yes, Senator Robinson.
So I think before I address the motion, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I should have addressed this earlier. This is a point of information for everybody. Resolutions are just public statements that we agree upon. Yes. Okay, so just so everyone's clear, I know you guys are all, for the most part, veteran senators, but we've had issues like that in the past. That being said, I move to approve this and send it to old business for next week.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to move this bill to second reading status. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? So there's no opposition, this bill will now be moved to second reading status. All right, moving on to our next order of business, we have our President and Vice President's report. Rachel?
Hi again. Did you miss me? Okay, so first order of business for me is Pride nominations are back, and I have 2 senators that have been nominated to receive gifts from me today. The first person I'm going to recognize today has been instrumental in helping me very much over the summer and so far this semester. The senator has taken on a lot of extra work outside of his position as a senator and gone above and beyond to help me be great. Y'all know I love that. So I would like to recognize Dominic Ramos. Okay, and the next senator is being recognized for her determination. She's been taking initiative to get senators to meet outside of the Senate because it is so helpful for us to meet and discuss these bills before we get to Senate on Tuesday. So Gabrielle, coming home. I know, we missed Josh. That's okay, we don't have to do it. No, it's fine. Next, to piggyback off my point with Gabby, I just want to point out that it would have been so helpful had we met outside of this meeting today to discuss these bills beforehand. It would have gone smoother had we been able to have those discussions as senators, or even if directors wanted to come in the room and just talk it out. I could have helped and bring in some points that some people may not have known, where I can't speak in Senate, and give y'all that help so this can be a more expedited process when we get here on Tuesday. So just consider meeting outside of Senate in the future. Number 3, the President's Task Force on Inclusive Excellence is having a meeting tomorrow, September 14th, that's tomorrow, right? At 4 o'clock in the River Rooms to discuss racial and ethnic discussions. They're having 2 other meetings later in the semester, but I'll let you guys know about those as they come along. But that's tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the River Rooms if you're interested in talking with the President's Task Force on Inclusive Excellence about racial and ethnic topics on campus. Finally, I decided I want to end my presentation every week with a quote of the day. So this is important to me, and I think somebody else will agree that leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. That is a quote from JFK, and just goes to say that we're always learning as leaders. You never know everything, you never know enough to properly serve your body of constituents. So we are all leaders in this room. We are all learning every day. Thanks, guys.
Next, we'll have our Vice President, Mr. Noah Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've already put in this. Thank you. I like the quote that I've come up with a signature move. I can't do that. A couple points that I have for y'all today. The first one being professionalism in the office. That was my point. And then I guess that would apply to outside of the office. So when you're just around ODU, I would encourage everyone to remember that you're a part of Student Government Association. And so how you act represents SGA. So please act appropriately, act professional. Always remember that you are an SGA senator. That follows you everywhere. Same for exec board, same for Rachel and I as well. Especially in the office, now that students are back, there's a lot of students that are in the youth center. There's people in there all the time. So we don't need to be yelling, saying obscene things. So just make sure we keep the professionalism there. Other point would be role as senators. So part of my job is to meet with the directors every week, and they talk to me about what they have going on, maybe issues they're having, and I've heard a couple times that I guess we're having issues with responding to emails and getting involved. So just make sure if you're a part of committee, which we all are, that you're getting involved with your committee and responding to emails they may send you. Second point, Rachel talked about streamlining Senate, meeting in Senate, or meeting before Senate to kind of help move things along quicker. I would also encourage everybody to just look at Robert's rules again to kind of help move things along a bit quicker. There are a few instances today where we didn't necessarily follow Robert's rules, and that led to long discussions that probably should not have been there. So I would just encourage everyone to kind of brush up on Robert's rules. Last point, Camp Kankatang. I was going to send around a sign-up sheet today, but I'm going to send around a Google Doc, so be looking out for that email. Please sign up for it. If you have committee members that don't get the senator emails, encourage them to sign up as well, because we won't have time. So thank you guys. Have a great day.
Next, we'll have our advisors report. Don, do you have anything?
Just real quick, sorry I wasn't here last week. We were dealing with a little event that was happening. I do want to just reinforce Vice President Butler's comments in terms of knowing process. And if you don't know Robert's Rules of Order, it's a quick Google of how you do business, but that will help keep us moving along. And also, the other thing I would just add is that as we're sitting on the side and you're having a conversation with someone else, just keep in mind that when 10 of you are having those conversations, it's just distracting. So we're going to try and keep that to a minimum so that you all and folks in the back can hear as well. We will make sure the temperature is adjusted correctly because it's really hot here. Everyone's like really hot. So we'll do that. And so we have a lot of upcoming events, including homecoming. Just a quick little history, those of you that are new.
Until 1999, we did not have a homecoming. In 1999, the first homecoming was done, and that was done by student government. And so the tradition that you know now as homecoming started with SGA. So I just want to encourage you all to think about ways that you can get involved as student government, but also how other students can get involved with that event. And it will be here in just a few short days. So I encourage you all to think about it.
Preston, do you have anything?
Yeah, just really, it's been a pleasure getting to know a lot of you all during office hours and things. I'm doing my best to pop down and getting to know new faces, so if I haven't got to know you, come stop by and say hello and introduce yourself. I did also want to reiterate Noah's point on, especially for new senators, and you might not fully understand what it means to be a part of a committee quite yet, but make sure you're reading those emails that are on behalf of your committees, because that's a really big part of your job, and it's crucial that each committee has folks going to those meetings, because our directors are working really hard to do some of those things, and they need your help. So thank you guys.
All right, you will now be moving on to our next order of business, our treasurer's report. Eric, could you pull up his PowerPoint?
Hello there. Hey, Chris.
Alright, like I said, hello. I'm here to give you all my bi-weekly budget report. Some of you guys have already seen this slide. Just a little view of everything. I'm going to go briefly over my duties and responsibilities, responsibilities of work, and how and where to contact me if you guys need to, and how much we have spent this semester and how much we've spent so far. Okay, she's right. Some of you guys have already seen this. The responsibility of my position is to oversee the internal budget of a student government. I'll be watching over each and every director as well as the officials and budget and how and what they're approved for this year. Along with our personal review, we ask the co-sponsors of the organizations, requirements of accepting a co-sponsorship, recognizing our name. It can be on a flyer or poster, t-shirt, or just a specific shout out, and it sort of confused. The co-sponsorships listed before, it's for any events that it's not a name recognized vendor, and then it's on no shape or form for allocated money that we help them for the actual event. We want to give them, we want to get away from the idea that we're not a bank account anymore, because I've already had people come up to me asking like for donations and we can help fundraise and do that. Two representatives from SGA have to be at the events to show our support and be there. These requests must be submitted to the buyer so that we can talk about if they need the money, should we need the money, why they need the money. There's a maximum amount of money that can be requested, $1,000. I don't know if that'll actually ever happen. That's a lot of money for one event. This will be discussed in our exec board meetings. And then office hours, you guys can contact me in the office, in the SGA office, emails, faculty emails, cboss@ou.edu, my cell phone number, 0363, send me a text whenever, maybe my phone. And this is just like it's a pie chart of like all of the budget, going from the most that we have, which is this guy right here, the vice president. Yeah, it's about $17,000, roughly $18,000 to spend throughout the whole year. And then we have Raji over here, who only has $550. So we have some room to work, and we'll see where we can kind of move money around if needed. And then so far we have actually spent quite a lot of money. Two reasons, because we do have our SGA retreat coming up, and there was also another annual retreat that Justin had brought to me yesterday for 3 individuals to go. Okay. the OER conference, and that was just a big chunk of money. And then most of this has been spent on apparel such as our SGA t-shirts for the exec board, giveaway t-shirts, giveaways, and then our drawstring bags, blue and green Scantrons, along with our books, homecoming supplies, retreats for SGA, and last but not least, what James had is and yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions,
Before we move on to our Senate committee reports, I just want to address something. If you guys haven't gotten your Senate polos from me yet, please follow me after Senate so I can get those to you. Also, so I just wanted to let you reiterate the fact that you guys are senators and you guys are the lifeblood of SGA. If SGA didn't have senators, nothing would ever get done. You guys are the ones that vote. You guys are the ones that make the tough decisions. Also, I'm really proud to say that you guys did an awesome job today during business. I have never seen Senate talk that much before, and I've been here for a year, so I don't know how it was in the past, but I was really excited to see the discussion that was going on. All right, now moving on to our Senate committee reports. First, we'll have our Director of Finance, Ms. Robia Hack.
Thank you.
It's a great thing. Right now, we've been working on changing and updating the financial bylaws. So if you want to make changes or something you'd like to add, let me know because I wanted to have it by next Tuesday, hopefully. So see how the changes.
Hey guys, I don't have much for you today, but I do have my committee meeting times, which is now on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock, and also a reminder for my committee members that you're speaking in Rockville. Committees are in charge of keeping the office nice and tidy, so if you see any drinking going around, first call that we need to go to, and then before that, just go away outside of the office and fully use station.
All right, cool. So next we'll have our Director of Off-Campus Life, Ms. Courtney Cunningham. Courtney, you go here so that camera.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hey guys, how's everybody's week going?
Very sweet.
Anyways, I don't really have a lot. Today my committee meets at 5 in the Center Conference Room, and we are stopping knock and talk that, so the more the merrier. I don't plan to be in there long, maybe like 30 minutes, and then we can get out. And then the first one will be on Friday, which is I think the 16th. We're meeting at 5:15 p.m. If you want to help, let me know.
Yes, first knock and talk is Friday. Yeah, at what time?
5:15.
At Jordan's Visuals on Friday?
Okay, yeah, I know. It's gonna be like really short. Like I don't want it to be long. It's like a trial run. Yeah, and I know it's at 6 on Friday. And then yeah, that's it.
Cool. Next we'll have our Director of Safety and Transportation, Ms. Michelle Mondre.
Hello everyone, I just want to reiterate committee meetings will be on Tuesdays from 1:30 to 2:30, and in regards to talk about.
Alright. Hi guys, so today Michelle, myself, and Dom went out in front of the web and we pretty much touched base with students regarding parking. We know that parking passes are kind of a hassle when it comes to getting to your job, or especially for those who are involved on campus. And we are working on having parking passes lowered for student workers and members of university organizations. Right now I think the commuter cost is $248 for the year and a resident is $306, which is pretty pricey. And we also have an event coming up. We don't have a date set, but it is kind of in honor of Jordan. It has to do with drunk driving, excuse me. And we'll get out emails for that soon. And
Another thing, we'll just pass around a sheet.
Oh, yeah.
Interested in anything, or want to know part of the committee, which are named out.
Moving on, well, next we'll have our Director of Legislative Affairs and Diversity, Ms. Nia Griffin.
Hello
everyone. So I only have a few things. As of right now, I have gotten to work with the Director of Safety and Transportation, not Michelle, the actual Office of Safety and Transportation. So we will be having buses going to polling stations on Election Day starting at 7 a.m. Not sure how many buses or how many people we can take, but they will be running all day, so you can just hop on the bus. So on turning on the registration card, you will be able to go there and vote.
Which precincts will you be transporting students to?
We will be, I believe it's called the Larchmont Recreation Location. That's the one for Old Dominion University.
Are you also transporting students to Larchmont Elementary? No, excuse me, I don't think it's Larchmont Elementary. It's on Thule Road. I forget.
No, we only had one destination, but I will look into getting that second location. You said it's on Thule Street?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Secondly, I know that we were all looking for a time to meet and actually talk about bills and stuff. Y'all are all welcome at my committee meeting. I set out 15 minutes to discuss the bills that have happened inside of Senate, just so that we can talk. And y'all, anybody is welcome to come if you just want to come to that portion. It's generally at the end. My meeting times are from 5 to 5:45. So if you come around 5:30, we can all sit down and discuss the bills that if y'all want to do such. I'm not sure if I see any perspectives on business stuff, but my chairman is if you need more information, or you can always contact me.
Next, we'll have our Director of Public Relations and Recruitment, Ms. Yvonne Portillo.
Hi, everybody. A couple of things. So my committee meetings are on Thursdays between 12 and 1, and I will be providing lunch, so you should have gotten an email from me if you're already on my committee, asking you to send me what your request is for lunch or on Subway. And that's courtesy of my personal budget, just so y'all know.
Aww.
So another thing is, we have Pride Patrol every Friday, and between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. Pride Patrol is a lot of fun. We're going to request a golf cart this week, and we're going to drive around campus and issue citations. Yes, Christine?
Yvonne, I want to ask, are we going to have a tailgate during homecoming week for the game on Saturday and the 24th, I think it is?
A table. I haven't really looked into that, but come see me so we can talk about it.
Okay.
I would like to. Okay, so basically, yep, we'll get a golf cart, we'll issue citations, and free t-shirts for those of you who don't know what Pride Patrol is all about. Come out, it's a lot of fun. I'd really like to have at least 3 to 5 of you senators, and you can sign up on iVolunteer, so please do. Or just come by the office and see me on Friday after. And so we have homecoming office decoration. It's going to take place on Thursday, this Thursday, September 15th, between 1 and 3. So if you're, interested in decorating and making our office look great, we are going to be part of the decorating contest. So please come out. It'll be fun. We're doing the 1920s, so we're going to make the office black and gold very beautiful. And so then, for the homecoming parade, we are going to be walking the parade. And myself and Brittany and Jessica are going to be dressed up, but we want as much participation and representation as possible. I can't stress it. Yes, send me.
Sorry, I just want to know, are we actually going to have a float this year? Or we are going to plan on making a float, or what are we going to do? We're just walking?
Well, the thing is, if I can get enough participation, and the only reason I say that is because every time that there's an event, I'm the one who's stuck with the responsibility of making it all happen. So I don't want that to happen. If you guys want to float, I'm all for it. Let's get together and make an awesome float. As a matter of fact, my thought was, somebody loan us your car so we can drive it down and dress it up like a 1920s style car. That was my idea. But it takes a lot of work to do that. So if y'all are in the mood and feeling creative and you want to help me in this pursuit, wonderful. But it can't come from our budget. Our budget's exhausted. So we will have to take from our own funds or somebody else's to make that happen.
Could you explain to everybody what iVolunteer is so they know?
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry. For those of you who don't understand, iVolunteer is a place where you go online. I believe it's through Monarch Link. No? I'm sorry. Okay, maybe somebody who is a little more aware of what iVolunteer want to help me out.
Actually, we're not using iVolunteer anymore. We're using this thing called Sign Up. I'll send the link out in the email. It's not kind of ish, but I'll send the link out in an email so you guys can sign up for any events that SGA is having.
So I was not aware of that. I apologize. Thank you,
I was like, I
James.
just wanted to.
No, that's perfect, Gabby. Thank you for bringing that up. So that's very important. Jennings is going to generate an email. So when you see it, please go ahead and sign up for these events. I would really appreciate that. And then, so just want to stress, image is everything. I mean, we talk about it all the time. You know, being in PR and recruitment, one of the biggest things is, you know, how we project ourselves in SGA. So just want everybody to think about that and, you know, be the best that you can possibly be out there. We represent the whole in this room. So just, you know, be kind, be courteous, dress the part, and look the part, and be there.
Before we move on to our next director, I just want to reiterate that the committee meetings are either going to be in the SGA office or the Youth Center conference room. So moving on to our next director, we'll have Jessica King, our director of student life.
Okay, so I know everyone's been waiting for the new dining hall to be opened. We don't have an official date when everyone can go eat there, but we have the official cutting of the ribbon date, and that is September 23rd, which is the Friday homecoming at 4 p.m. You should have got emails in your inbox to ours. Yesterday we talked about adding like smoking areas. So do you have any of those ideas on where to add a smoking area? See me after Senate. Oh, and I've had a meeting about Honor Plus, and I know a lot of people have asked for a giveaway. That is never going to happen. I'm sorry. And do you have any other suggestions? Please see me because I will be sending in the list by the end of the week.
You, the other day when I saw you mentioned that the food options, we kind of, like, you mentioned it, but it wasn't something you said. Remember, you were like, oh, they don't have, like, food options that everyone can, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that something?
So Thursday I'll be meeting with the Muslim Student Association to learn about their dietary needs, and if anybody else knows of any specific groups on campus that have specific dietary needs, let me know so I can speak with them so we can make the campus more inclusive to everybody and everybody can be prepared because everyone needs to eat.
Next, we'll have our Director of Administrative Affairs, Mr. Justin McLaughlin.
Hi there, everybody. Howdy. Yes, he's back. He's back. Just for this week. Because as you can tell, there is a sizable hole in this room where Mr. Stephen Young used to stand. He's very tall, man. He's very tall. Hey, as a large man, I can say that. He's out with his department right now. Again, as a grad student, he has certain responsibilities he has to maintain. Anywho, so just to touch on what Chris mentioned earlier, we are sending some students to Richmond in November to attend an Open Educational Resource Conference. That initiative is moving forward this semester. I just had a meeting this past Friday with the Special Assistant to the Provost, Mr. Charles Wilson, as well as the University Libraries, to talk about moving forward our initiative in terms of not just open educational resources specifically, but affordable course content as a spectrum. So that means, you know, just including open source material, subsidized materials, just in general affordable. So that's what we're looking forward to. It's in the works, so that don't go crazy with it. But we are looking for a faculty forum at the end of this month, which is pretty awesome how quickly it's moving along. So it'll be a good way to start educating some more faculty on OER and affordable course content and getting that into the classroom. How many of y'all have an exam this semester? How many of y'all use a Scantron or a Blue Book or a Green Book? How many of y'all have spoken to your professors about our program? Wow, I'm surprised. Take my business card to your professors, every single one that has an exam, and tell them to email me. Within the past 2 weeks, I've received emails to reserve 1,500 Scantrons. and over 500 exam books in the past 2 weeks. So that's fabulous and amazing. So let's continue that and make sure that we are getting those things in quickly and as soon as possible, so that way I have enough lead time to make sure we have stock and that kind of thing. So take my business card to you professors and have them email me. We will be having some provisional organizations start coming in to be recognized starting next week. That will be you, Mr. Speaker. And lastly, we will be having our committee meeting Thursday in the Learning Commons. I do apologize to conflict with what you just said, but it is in the Learning Commons room 1308 at 2:15 p.m. We'll be talking about all these lovely fun things and more. So that's it for me. Thank you.
So Taji does not have a report for this week. Next we'll have, James, do you have anything?
I sure do. So I've been looking around today and I noticed that a lot of people don't have their name tags. So with that being said, your name tags will be left in the office after Senate meetings and after official SGA events. Also, could you guys, the senators, could you resend y'all office hours to me and Jordan? I lost them. Also, there has been a lot of food trash left in the main lobby of the office. We all know that's not allowed. The trash can is right outside the door, so you guys could please refrain from using that. And also, food thing. Start putting your names on food with the date that you put it into the refrigerator. Because as most of you found out, I have been doing work with food. I do not care. Like, you can follow simple instructions and put your name and put the date that like your food is. If you don't like it, too bad. Fix it. I already talked about sign-up sheets, and that's it. Or signup.com, so that's great.
All right, next we'll have our Chief of Staff. Aaron doesn't have a report. All right, next we'll have our Speaker Person for Ms. Brandy Campbell.
Hi. I feel like I've been talking a lot lately, but I know Jordan sent out. Ooh, things are falling. Sent out Senate etiquette with the agendas and all that good stuff this week. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to talk to me and Jordan about it. The 25 signatures that y'all just voted on, that means any prospective senators, you'll have to get 25 signatures down, so I'll probably upload like a document to that application so y'all can start doing that fun stuff. I think that's it. I already sent James information about polling stations. I have the elections timeline. I'm gonna pass out a few so y'all can like view the dates and stuff like that if I can find it. I think I just lost it again. But just to make a long story short, polling stations, voting will open Sunday, October 2nd at 8 a.m. Well, actually, I'm going to back it all the way up. So, Wednesday, September 14th, which is tomorrow, applications will open at 8 a.m. In order to apply, you have to first receive 2 nominations from an SGA member. You can't even get to the application until you receive those nominations. So it's very important that you identify members of SGA or someone outside of SGA who's been a part of SGA and nominate them because they can't apply unless you do. And then applications will close Tuesday, September 20th at 5 p.m. Then interviews, and then we will announce the candidates Saturday, September 24th. Campaigning begins Sunday, September 25th, and ends Saturday, October 1st. There will be a candidate forum in the North Cap on Tuesday, September 27th from 6 to 8. Yeah.
Are the SGA members sending the nominations to you, or?
Yes. You'll send it to @SGA Elections. Wait, no. SGA Elections @odu.edu. SGA Elections @odu.edu. And as soon as you receive 2 nominations, we'll send you the application as well as further instructions regarding the application. Voting will open Sunday, October 2nd, and then Monday, October 3rd, Mia will be having a Rock the Vote block party at Brock Commons, and we're going to be having polling stations there. So I'll need volunteers for that, which I've already sent to James, and I also need volunteers to help her set up. And then we'll have polling stations that Tuesday, October 4th from 12 to 2, and 2 in the front lobby, VAL, and the SRC Quadville. Polling stations here before Senate, and then voting will close Tuesday evening, and then hopefully we can announce the candidates the winners by Friday, October 7th at 5 p.m. Is there any questions about this? Oh, who are you pointing to? Oh!
Just to clarify, it's any issue with the nomination, not
Yeah, any, and that goes to committee members as well. So if you're an SGA committee member, you can nominate someone. And then you two, and you, as an individual, I can only nominate one person. So Dom, for example, can't nominate 10 people to run for vice president. It doesn't work like that. Is there any questions about elections at all? Thank you.
All right, cool. Now we'll have our public comments and announcements. Jess, I saw your hand first.
Alrighty, so as you all know, I like to stand up here and tell you guys about some art that y'all need to culture yourselves with. So this week we are we're remounting Coriolanus, which I directed over the summer with my organization, Hampton Road Summer Theater. We're remounting it this week, September 14th through the 16th, 7:30 p.m. at the University Theater. It's the one with the marquee out front. $15 at the door. Cash only. Come out and see it. It's an 80-minute show. It's fabulous. OD students. It's fun. It's dark. It's cool. And I directed it, so please, come on out.
Oh, what's the date again?
The 14th to the 16th, so Wednesday through Friday, 7:30 p.m.
Yeah,
I have two things. So first I want to start off with something that's probably annoying, but I know a lot of people touched on professionalism today. So today's meeting, I know it was a lot of laughs and giggles, but having professionalism in Senate is probably one of the most important things in here. The prospective senators are probably looking at us like, what in the world is going on? Why are they laughing so much? I thought this was supposed to be serious. I thought this was supposed to be something that's higher, like that we come together and do things the correct way. So just like Noah said, we need to touch up on Robert's Rules of Order, but also just the way things are addressed. Things that you guys are saying, just make sure you keep it at a professional level in general in this whole entire room. And then the second thing is for homecoming. So my event is Monarch Day that I greatly spent a lot of time planning for you all. And although we do not have a comedy show and the concert may not be what you would like, we also have other events that we have planned extensively since the summertime that our whole board has placed for you guys to come to. So my event is Thursday, September the 22nd from 11 to 3, and I would love to see everybody's faces. We have inflatables, food, fun, and games, and things for you all to have for homecoming. So feel free to come out. And if you want to volunteer, just let me know too, because I'm accepting those.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to let everyone know I attended the Virginia 21 meeting this weekend in Richmond, and I just wanted to let everyone know, if anyone does not know what Virginia 21 is, it is the coalition of all the colleges in Virginia that get together and talk about, the issues that surround college students as a whole. If anyone is interested to go to those meetings, they're the first Sunday of every single month. It's a great organization, and they do a lot of different things. And so we're going to try and do a lot more stuff with them this year. So if anyone has any questions about Virginia 21 and wants to come with me to those meetings, because it is really important, please come and talk to me. Thank you.
Hey everyone, so for those of you who do not know, I am Devon's committee chair. Just want to let you know, if you want to come to our meeting this week, it'll be Thursday on Mediascape 1, which is located right next to Einstein's and the Learning Commons. Also, I'll be partnering with Max Hall and I think his friend Austin. We're from my new company called Clean Slate Designs. If any of you guys have an organization that wants flyers or rebranding or anything, just talk to me about it and I'll help you guys out. Rachel?
Thank you. So I forgot to give you guys a reminder that this weekend we are finally painting our Pride rock. I ordered paint, so I'm really excited. But I'm going to be painting the base on Friday. I did not put that in the group chat that we have, but if you want to help me, I would love to have help. Just painting the base like the blue and the white and the gray or whatever. Then on Sunday, you guys should have RSVP'd in the group chat to come and help put some words. I have a nice idea of what I'd like the official Pride Rock to look like. It's not going to be an official unveiling and no ribbon cutting, but since it's homecoming week, pretty much every homecoming activity we can, make reference to, hey, look, we have a Pride Rock. After homecoming, you can paint it
start telling your friends, telling other organizations that you're in. We have a Pride Rock. It is ready for you to show pride in whatever ODU thing that you want to talk about. Also, Jessica made note of it, but next Friday is the dining hall dedication ceremony. I have been tasked with making sure that SGA is present at this dedication ceremony. There will be free food, so there's free food. Please wear like your SGA stuff, anything ODU. We want to rep ODU at this event and show them that students are ready for this new dining hall and make them open it up faster. Thank you. Oh, at 4 o'clock on Friday. Painting the base is going to be after the vigil on Friday. Painting the words. What time did we say?
Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Two quick points to all the prospective senators in the back. Thank you so much for coming out and listening in to our Senate meeting. I know it's probably a little overwhelming seeing all this stuff. It's a little overwhelming for me sometimes too, but thank you guys for being here, especially for staying the whole time. It means a lot. Also, second point, I know you have probably all noticed all the microphones, cameras that are here. Wodu is filming the meetings now, so thank you, Ron, for coming out. We appreciate you.
Just one more thing. I should have mentioned it before, but this is really important. I don't know if y'all heard of the Peer Freedom. There's going to be a huge event on October 5th. They put this event on every year. It's really cool. It's to create care packages for victims of sexual assault. So keep that in mind. That event is happening in the evening on October 5th. But most importantly, we're having a toiletry drive from September 19th through the 23rd in the Web Center, South Mall. There's going to be a bin out there next week from Monday through Friday, and we really like you guys to bring in any toiletry items. There's going to be a flyer in front of that bin with all the items you can bring, but I mean, you guys, you're all part of organizations. Put the word out there. It's something that you all can participate into the community service. So we'd really like to see as much participation in this as possible. So,
Hey guys, just a quick thing. RHA is having info sessions tomorrow from 5 to 6. Y'all can come, get involved in the residence halls, be part of the community council, you be on the keyboard, come out, there'll be little snacks, a little bit of food.
Sorry, one more thing. If you're on your third or your fourth meeting, you can go ahead and apply online. I think you just have to do an SGA senator application and all that.
So her question was, if you came to a Senate meeting last year, and before this session ended, does that count towards your 3? There's only one person in here I see that's even here from last year. So the reason I'm gonna say yes to that is because their third meeting would have been today before the new municipalities. So that's the only reason I'm saying yes to that. Are there any other public comments and announcements?
Justin, for the Richmond thing, is that for like the textbook, the stuff we're talking about for the textbook?
Yeah. So the OER thing, it's just it's a way to talk about student initiatives in open education as well as working with faculty, members of the administration, that kind of thing.
Really quick, guys, sorry, I forgot to mention this. It's very important. If you haven't taken your headshot with me, see me after.
Right, cool. Are there any other? Yes, Renee. Are there any other public comments and announcements? All right, so today we had the adoption of the agenda followed by the adoption of the previous minutes. We met quorum today at 22. Our special guest was stricken from the agenda. For old business, we had Senate Bills 1, 2, and 3, followed by Resolution Number 2, the Constitutional Amendment. Next, we had new business, which we had Resolution 1, the Executive Resolution, which was moved to second reading status. followed by our President and Vice President's report, followed by our Advisor's report, followed by our Treasurer's report. Then we had our Senate Committee reports. Then we had public comments and announcements. Is there a motion at this time? Yes, Senator Reynolds.
I move to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there a second? Since there is a second, we are now adjourned.